One of the reasons that masculine geek exists is because there is a perception that certain hobbies, interests, or studies considered geeky are also regarded as unmasculine. However, when one examines history, we find that these were often the passions of famous, powerful, and unquestionably manly men. So when and how did the disconnect occur? There are many possibilities. Having watched Vox Day's Voxversity on the socio-sexual hierarchy, particularly regarding gammas, I have one potential theory. A gamma is passive, aggressive, snarky, and lacks social graces. However, they are also above average in intelligence, which often leads them to become subject matter experts. As a side, they also tend to be the most likely to white knight for women and encourage their entry into a traditional male space, be it nerdy or not. This is despite the fact that women tend to find them creepy. Most importantly, gammas are fundamentally in rebellion against the natural hierarchy and seek to overthrow it. In previous eras, the socio-sexual hierarchy was more aligned with the natural order, meaning alphas were in leadership roles. Also, patriarchal societies placed a greater emphasis on intellectual pursuits and a genuine classical education. This meant a masculine man and aspiring leader would raise no eyebrows studying Latin, Greek, or fencing. Julius Caesar was not only a brilliant military commander, he also wrote 2 classic accounts of his campaigns, and as an orator was seconded only in his day by the great Cicero. Charlemagne reconquered much of the Western Roman Empire, but he also stressed an education and literacy he himself did not receive. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations during years of military campaigning in Gaul, i.e. modern France. In more recent times, Benjamin Franklin was a veritable Renaissance man who started the first American newspaper as well as the Junto Discussion Group, the first subscription library. Despite the Boy Scouts' modern manifestation, its founder and Scouting for Boys author Robert Baden-Powell was a decorated military veteran who rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel in the British Army. Then there's James Cagney, who had a rough and tumble upbringing, participated in boxing, but also learned to tap dance as featured in several of his films. No one considered Cagney a dork or effeminate. 2 things changed since. 1, the feminization of Western society. When that precisely started isn't so as important as the fact that it has occurred. One of the many consequences is the restructuring of the socio-sexual hierarchy. Though men have remained in charge, though that could soon change, they have adopted a female-centric frame regarding priorities and what traits should be considered normal by default. Further, they adopted the belief that traditional masculine traits, assertiveness, dominance, and self-confidence were to be discouraged. The recent guidelines published by the American Psychological Association merely codified what has been a long-accepted Western belief. As a result, the institutions have morphed into fostering the qualities and behaviors befitting gammas, like petty micromanaging, passive aggression, and indirect communication. The other outcome of feminizing Western society is that there are simply more gammas than before, and the social norms have made it easy for them to take over social, cultural, political, and religious entities. That extends also into many hobbies where gammas are naturally well suited to become competent but insufferable experts on a subject. Because of their nature, deltas won't challenge a gamma assumed authority. Betas and alphas will simply not participate. What can deter normal men from taking an interest in anything geeky, or keep it a private and discreet matter, is if the areas are dominated by an inverted socio-sexual hierarchy in which the gammas are at the top of a collective hold on the internal culture. Men are by nature hierarchical, and when they see men in charge whose leadership they can't accept, they will avoid it. After time, a negative perception of that niche builds to the point where most men will not pursue a hobby. Not only could it cost them their social standing, but the only people who are knowledgeable enough to appreciate it are probably gammas eager to bring someone else into their world in which they rule as the secret king. This phenomenon helps explain the rise of bro culture, which celebrates weird and bizarre manifestations of a highly caricaturized masculinity to counter-signal geek culture and at the same time signal to others that they wish to retain their social status. Bro culture promotes anti-intellectualism, Neanderthal-level conversation, crass materialism, overconsumption of food and alcohol, and being chill. Something is bad if it's uncool, man. Also, bros tend to implicitly or subconsciously believe masculinity is directly tied to the feminine due to the emphasis on notch count or how successful a man is with women. Hence, they mock or jeer men who prioritize anything remotely intellectual above sex, or men who don't consider the tingles to be the ultimate mark of a man. Whereas the temptation of nerds is to take themselves too seriously, bros don't take anything seriously and shy away from anything that gets too deep. They view anything that requires a degree of intelligence as effeminate and to be avoided at all costs. The macho man mantra that shuns anything artistic is born from a lack of healthy traits created through experiences and struggles that build self-confidence. We at Masculine Geek are here to change this situation and turn things around. It's okay for a man to go to the gym every single day, as I do, then work on his penmanship with a fountain pen or take an interest in old-time radio shows and tabletop games. It's okay to love firearms, but also canvas paintings. It's okay to be masculine and love things that lesser men have transformed into an unhealthy obsession. In fact, it's necessary that masculine men champion these things. It's time to reclaim conquered territory. Just us every week as we lay siege and storm every stronghold. Together, we can turn the tide.